Appreciate having you here. And at this time, is there any public comment? Hearing none, we can move on to the approval of the February minutes, which you should have before you, the February 10th meeting minutes. And do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any corrections, additions?
Rob, who made the motion?
I think it was Tom.
And then who seconded it?
I think we had an Alan motion and a Tom second.
Oh, was it? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, before we go any further, I just want to mention, I should at the beginning of every meeting, the meeting is being recorded for the purposes of, collecting our meeting minutes, just to let you know. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. No discussion. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. I think, is that you, Jim Walliser? The number that ends with 9792?
They just muted themselves.
No,
Oh,
I'm
there
here,
they
Jim
are.
Walliser.
that's what I thought. I thought I heard you,
Yep.
Jim. Okay, great. So we're at the payment of the bills and the treasurer's report. Brandy.
Yes, so the payment of the bills and treasurer's report, the report goes from February 1st to February 28th. The operating expenses totaled $9,731.30. The operating account income revenue totaled $8,128.45. And the operating expense account balance as of February 28th is $509,317.78.
Thank you, Brandy. Do we have a motion to pay the invoices and file the treasurer's report?
So move.
Okay, we have a motion by Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
I think Mike beat Alan on that one. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments, additions, corrections to the treasurer's report? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Moving right along, correspondence, Jim.
Yes, I have one piece of correspondence tonight. We received via email from PACD a copy of a letter that they sent to Pennsylvania Department of Education Secretary Ortega. It's not very long. I'm just going to read it here. Dear Secretary Ortega, the Pennsylvania Association of Conservation Districts, representing all 66 conservation districts, strongly urges the PA Department of Education to include the subjects of environment, ecology, and agriculture in its proposed science education standards. We feel it is imperative for students of all ages to understand the importance of protecting our state's environment and our state's #1 industry, agriculture. Since the new proposed education standards eliminate all mention of environment, ecology, and agriculture, for some age groups, we are concerned that teachers may not be able to engage students in meaningful natural resource discussions and relevant real-world learning. Specifically, the proposed secondary science standards have 4 domains, and because none of them include the subjects critical to understanding Pennsylvania's ecosystems, middle or high school teachers may not include natural resource protection in their curriculum. The inclusion of specific standards for environment, ecology, and agriculture would allow for the integration of meaningful natural resource educational experiences. More importantly, PA needs to prepare students for future careers in the fields of environment and agriculture, which may not happen as the proposed science education standards are currently written. Again, PACD is urging the Department of Education to include environment, ecology, and agriculture in all science education standards prior to publication in the bulletin. Thank you for your consideration. Just something I thought the board should be aware of there. That was sent out early last month. Actually, it was just after our board meeting last month.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Any other correspondence?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Okay, moving on to item 6, staff presentation. I believe Chris has a presentation. You're up.
Okay. Let's see here. I have some slides of site inspection, MPDS site. This would be what's called Patton Crossing on North Atherton. Currently, they're building an Aldi's, which is a grocery store chain there now. But I think that this is the first phase of a multi-phase project. So let me. So they had a rock construction entrance, as all our projects generally have. They had some existing pavement that is going to stay. So we were okay with a shortened. It's a little bit shorter rock construction entrance than what the manual specs. However, I would draw your attention to the backhoe that's there actually has a street sweeping head attached to it. And so they were using that throughout the project to try to minimize the sediment from maybe creeping out onto Atherton. This view's from the intersection, the light looking towards State College. Sometimes what we've noticed, what I've seen on some of our sites, are the silt sock gets put in, and then it can be at some times in the way during construction, and that can happen. I have other slides to show that, but what I wanted to point out here was, and I hope you can see it, but on the right hand side is an inlet box, and the top of that inlet box is probably 10 feet high. Eventually that will be the ground, so they'll be raising that elevation of that property about that high in that area. But I guess to meet their stormwater through the township, they actually have water quality insert in that. It's called the jellyfish. It's kind of an interesting water quality inlet. Contech, I believe, makes that particular, and I think that the larger circular portion of that inlet at the base is where the filters are. But it's actually they can actually filter quite a bit of things out of it. I'm not sure if DEP recognizes it, but I know most of the states around us do, as a stormwater for water quality. This would be at the rock construction entrance looking north on Atherton. There's a wall going in on the left. You can see they got a pump crane for the concrete that they were putting in the wall. that elevation will be significantly higher than Atherton Street as well. But here's an example of what we see at sites at different times. The silt sock being damaged because the construction, the grading happens about in the same spot. They have to replace that, and they do replace it. The unfortunate thing is, I think that was either 24 or 32-inch silt sock. So I imagine, the replacement costs for that, and it was probably several hundred feet long. But the last time I was by there, it looks as if they did replace that. That's just another picture of the damaged sock. At the time when I was there to inspect the site, we had snow cover. Nothing was migrating off the site. The grading is happening in the picture to the right. And everything appeared to be staying on site. What you see, the silt sock, the grading, mass grading to the right was actually lower than Atherton Street. So the presumption is that it would take quite a bit in order to kind of go against the grade to make anything out onto Atherton. This is where they have the street sweeper is key. There is a road system through there that they're utilizing. I think that was a wise idea. It allowed the construction equipment to move in and out of the site with really out dragging a lot of material around. And that's the concrete pump truck. The washout, they were washing the concrete out sort of in the middle of the picture. It was going into a waste pile that they had there of materials. There's another picture of the road. This is right after the street sweeper had gone by. I wish I would have gotten a better picture of it beforehand, but that was a pretty powerful unit on that backhoe. You can see on the picture on the left, it kind of the side cast of the material that was on the road. More broken silt sock. This was something that we pointed out in our inspection report. Excuse me. And we understand that can happen, but we like to see it replaced as soon as possible. They were still had some construction in this area. They had some utility tie-ins right there. But once again, I think that has been replaced. So the last time I was by this site. And that's what I had to show for the NIPD's permit at Patton Crossing.
One additional thing, if I could point out, Chris referenced there being an existing road system on that property that they were utilizing. That was actually an issue earlier in the construction process. Last year, we were having some issues on some other sites where they were going in and harvesting trees off of a property prior to getting all their permits in place. And the way the department generally looks at that is tree clearing for the purpose of land development is usually considered a stage of that development and should be included in the permit. In this I think they did the same thing at this development, but the harvesters were able to utilize that existing road system. And normally the disturbance associated with harvesting is the roads and trails that are needed to get the timber out. So I don't know if you saw it prior to them actually grading, Chris, but I think they were able to get all the timber off that property without any disturbance because of that existing road system.
Right. Yeah. They were able to remove there's just some stumps, I think, in the back portion of the next phase.
And that's an unusual circumstance, but it was fortunate for them. In this case, they were able to take advantage of that situation. So just something interesting to point out there.
Yep.
This site is that former mobile home park that took up.
It
that
is.
Track, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Chris? I believe, Jim, that was the only staff report this month? Is that?
That's the only presentation, yes.
Okay. Yeah, presentation. So we can move on to old business. The first of which is a reminder about the statement of financial interest forms.
Yep, that's just there as a reminder. There's only a couple that we still need. They're due in May, so there's still time. Because there's only a couple, I will follow up with and try to get all those taken care of.
Okay. The next item is the open file policy revision update.
Yes, we brought this issue up last month, and we indicated that we were going to examine that policy and potentially make some recommendations to the board to revise it. A group of staff did meet last month and go over this policy. The real reason for me bringing this issue up to begin with was the fact that we've had a few inquiries in the office where rather than paper copies, individuals had requested that documents be scanned and emailed. So my initial thought was to try and capture that in this policy and potentially charge a similar fee that we do for photocopies. In my research, I discovered that we really cannot do that. We can scan and email documents to folks, but we are not allowed to charge a fee for that. So in light of that, and after some discussion, we decided that we feel it's probably best just to leave the policy as is and not make any revisions. So that's what our recommendation is.
Any comments from the board or others? Hearing none, this is not something that I think needs a board approval, since the policy is going to stay in place,
Correct.
the current policy. So hearing no questions, we can move on to the next item, which is the seedling sale update.
Yep, I think Brandy has some information for us about seedling sale.
Yes, so we received over 30 orders to date. Last year at this point, when our seedling sale was completely done, we received 50 orders, although that seedling sale was canceled, and almost 70 orders in 2019, and 2018, we received around 50 orders. We have a couple more weeks yet to go. So our deadline is March 26th, and I am working with the county in order to do some more advertisements on our webpage, on the county webpage, and on their other media sites. Ally has posted on our media sites as well, so we're getting some advertisement and hopefully get some orders in. Distribution will be on April 20th and 21st, and pickup on April 23rd and 24th. And that is at the Center Hall Lions Club. Also, I just want to inform everybody that I got an email right before we started this meeting from Peyton Kennedy. She's a reporter at WTAJ News, and she wants to interview some of the staff or one of the staff tomorrow, if possible, just regards the seedling sale and benefits of the education program that it brings about.
Very good. Okay, any questions for Brandy on the seedling sale?
I think the last few weeks are often the busiest, so it seems like we're on track for a reasonably good sale this year.
I know I got my flyer in the mail weeks ago, it seems. Okay, Jim, any other old business?
No, that's it for old business.
Okay, moving on to new business. There's a number of sponsorships.
Yep, there's 4 items listed there. Things have changed a little bit due to the current COVID restrictions. We normally have 4 items that we approve at this time. The Conservation Leadership School is canceled for this year due to the COVID restrictions. And I believe it was canceled last year as well. So they have not had that for the past several years. I spoke to the gentleman who organizes that, and I think they're hoping to have it again next year, but obviously they don't know that far ahead. So there's no funds needed for that. You want to go through each of these individually, Rob, for a motion, or make a single motion for all 4?
I think we can make a single motion for all 4.
Okay,
Given the magnitude of the expenses.
okay.
In
Yep.
fact,
The
it's probably
second,
reduced.
they are. The second item is the poster contest, and I think this is the same as last year, where we give out prizes for first, second, and third in each category. There's generally several grades grouped together. Julie, correct me if I'm wrong. I think those are the same as what were approved last year. And the total is $180.
Sorry, Jim, I couldn't get all muted, but yes, it is the same as last year. First place was $20, second place was $15, and third place was $10. And then we have 3 categories for entries.
Okay, so we're requesting, the amount for all of those totaling $180.
Tom, so move.
Oh, you're getting ahead of us, Tom. Do you want to do the other 2 first?
Yeah, I was moving for all 4.
Okay, well, there's still 2 more I need to go over here real quick.
Okay.
The third is the county buy-a-thon. As you're all aware, that is an online virtual competition this year, even at the local level. So our expenses are usually higher. We're requesting $300 this year. I think that will pay for for the winning team to participate in the state competition. I think Justin had allowed for some prizes for station winning teams. And there may have been one other item, but we estimated that at $300 total. I think we're normally in the neighborhood of $1,400. So that's quite a bit less than what we'd normally spend for that event. And then the fourth item, the Educators Ag Institute, what was formerly known as Ag in the Classroom. They are having an event this year. However, it will be a virtual online event. Normally, we would pay 50% tuition for a local teacher to attend. I spoke to one of the individuals at the State Farm Bureau about this, and they indicated they're not having it set up quite that way this year because it's an online event. They indicated to me they were asking groups that were interested to just give what they were calling a sponsorship, which I believe they indicated was $250. They are supposed to be forwarding me more information. I'm still waiting for that. I haven't received anything yet, but we thought we would put that in as well for a $250 sponsorship.
Okay, so we have those 4 items in front of us.
It's actually 3. The first one was canceled, Rob, so that,
Yeah.
yep.
Tom, would you like to make the motion?
So move.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the last 3 of those items at the costs proposed. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Mike. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those 3 expenses, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is the PACD North Central Region Directors Meeting, which is next Thursday on March 18th. I typically attend that. Actually, I chair it because I'm the PACD North Central Region representative. But I cannot attend that specific meeting. I have another conflict that I cannot miss. I know that Jim is planning to attend.
Yes, I will be there.
And other directors are certainly invited to attend. It's a nice mix of directors and staff that attend that meeting from the 14 counties in the North Central region. And it's basically just 2 hours. I think it's from 10 to about noon. We adjourn. Just sharing what different districts are doing across the North Central portion of the state. So I guess if there are other directors that would like to attend that, contact Jim, and I'm sure he has the URL for that, for the Zoom link.
I think anyone that wants to attend has to pre-register through PACD, but that's a pretty easy process. So we can
Right.
get you pointed in that direction if you're interested. Just let me know.
Okay, and then the next item is the creation of a temporary intern position.
Yes, I had received some interest in an intern position at our conservation district. And that's something over the years we've had a few times. And in talking to staff, and I had also been thinking about it myself, we do have some outstanding projects that could use attention that an intern may be able to give us some help with. So I spoke to Rob a little bit about it, and we wanted to bring it to the entire board here tonight. I think what we're proposing is the best way to deal with this would be to create a what would essentially be a temporary position at the conservation district for basically the summer months that an intern would fill and be able to help us out with some of our workload. What I'm envisioning them doing is helping us out with our MPDES permits, ones that have expired and need to be terminated. And also there's a E&S component to practice keeper that our ag staff work on that would be beneficial to our CAP. And I thought this position could also work on that project as well. So I just wanted to share this with the board. I haven't made an official request to the county yet, but I wanted to get the board's input and thoughts. And then if everyone thinks it's a good idea, I will proceed in that direction.
It's like this.
I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Rob?
Nope, that sounds pretty good. What does the rest of the board think about this?
Yep. And one thing I would add, obviously, we're proposing it to be a paid position, and the funding source would be of concern. I think what I was thinking along the lines of was potentially using E&S funds and our NPDES clean water funds. Those accounts are both in pretty good shape, and I think we could, if need be, could fund a position for several months over the summer with that. So that was my thoughts.
This is Alan. How long would that last, Rob?
Well, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, we haven't figured out the exact time frame, Alan, but our intent would be it would basically be over the summer. So I was thinking, June, July, August, something in that neighborhood. And we would expect it to be filled by a college student who would be on summer break.
And I don't recall in our conversations, Jim, did we talk about whether it would be full-time, part-time? Yet to be determined.
To be determined. I was envisioning it being, a temporary full-time position.
Okay.
Although that, we can certainly, we haven't made a decision on that. So, we can certainly have that discussion if need be, but that was sort of how I envisioned it.
Any questions, additional questions from the board? Is there a motion? I think because this is going to be an expense. Is there a motion to approve continuing with pursuing the temporary internship position for the summer?
This is Alan, so moved.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Alan. Mike, do you want to second that motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor then say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it.
Yep, the next step then, with the board's go-ahead would be to get approval for this new position through the county. So I will head in that direction then.
Okay, great. Any other new business, Jim?
Yes, I do have one other item. I received correspondence from PACD on March 2nd, and they were sending out notification that they are applying for a DCNR riparian forest buffer grant. And that will have, through that, they will offer sub-grants to county conservation districts. This grant program provides financial assistance to identify locations in need of riparian buffers and to design, establish, monitor, and provide short-term maintenance for these buffers. The grant includes both multifunctional and conventional riparian buffers, and it requires a 50-50 match. PACD is working with partners to identify a match source so that funds can be provided to conservation districts 100% funded. The application they're submitting is for $75,000, and that would require a $75,000 match. They contacted all the counties asking for letters of support to submit with their grant application. So, and they included a sample letter. So I wanted to bring this to the board to see if they were interested in submitting a letter of support for this grant.
So a quick question, the 75,000 you mentioned, that's the total amount of the award to be dispersed amongst conservation.
The grant, it's $75,000 grant funds, Rob, and then the grant requires $75,000 match. So I'm assuming the entire amount of funding would be $150,000.
Okay.
I think they're still trying to secure those matching funds. They don't have them yet.
But that 150,000 would be dispersed among districts that are qualified, apply and are qualified.
That's my understanding. I think it would, they don't get into details here, but my impression is that districts would need to apply for those funds. Yeah.
Okay. Other questions for Jim? Is there a motion then to provide a letter of support to PACD for that buffer grant program?
The letter, Rob, would actually go to DCNR supporting PACD's application. Yep.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by, that was Mike, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, we have a second from Alan. Further questions or discussion? All those approving the letter of support to DCNR for that buffer grant program, say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay. Jim, any other new business?
That's it for new business. Thanks.
Okay. I guess we can move on to staff reports. Chris, do you want to go first?
Sure. I don't have any additions to my written report unless there were any questions.
Okay, questions for Chris? Hearing none. Dana, would you like to report?
Sure, I guess the only thing I'll add to my report is that, we're gearing up for the construction season. I have a pre-construction meeting next week. A couple jobs that need to finish up that were started last year, and a few new jobs that we're going to be starting this year. So we're getting ready. I guess that's about it, unless there's any questions.
Questions for Dana? Hearing none. Ally? There she is.
Hey everyone, I have a quick countywide action plan update for this month. Since the plan was finalized last month, we have now dedicated funding to 6 farms for 2021 shovel-ready best management practice projects that are in partnership with several partners, including Chesapeake Conservancy, Clearwater Conservancy, the Partners for Fish and Wildlife Program through U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Penns Valley Conservation Association. We're also currently exploring a funding opportunity through the block grant that we were granted from DEP to implement the CAP. I have several landowner outreach visits planned with our coordinating agency, HRG, for the end of this month. And we are regularly meeting with DEP to find ways that they can assist the county with our implementation efforts. And happy to answer any questions about my board report as well.
Questions for Ally? Okay, hearing none. Thanks, Ally. We can move on to Dan.
Hey, I don't have any additions to my written report either. I'm looking forward to construction season to begin, like Dana said, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about my written report.
Okay, questions for Dan? Still doing a lot of training, I take it?
Less so. I've been focusing on the Chapter 102 stuff now that I'm up to speed on that, I'd say, and then now I'm starting the 105 trainings, and soon I'll start getting into the 105 permitting stuff. So,
Okay. Good. Questions for Dan? Okay, hearing none. I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm just looking around. Brandy, anything additional to report?
Let me get unmuted. Sorry about that. I've been working on some just questions with the bank about electronic bank statements, setting them up and enabling us to download our statements every month. Everything would come through Jim, of course, so that we would not be caught up in any audit problems or anything at the end of the year. What else are we working on? Oh, we also inquired about a bank credit card. Jim and I spoke about this. Our staff usually charges everything or pays everything out of pocket. If they have any projects, if we are ordering things online, getting into a little bit of problems and issues of vendors not giving us our sales tax exemption. So we are paying sales tax on things. because we are charging things on our own personal credit cards. So we're looking into some possibilities of just getting one credit card for the district. That credit card would actually stay with Jim or be kept in the safe, and a purchase order would have to be written and approved by Jim before any of the staff would use that credit card. So we're just trying to look at some options of setting these things up to make it a little bit easier for everybody.
Brandy, you said credit card, but it would actually just pull funds directly from our operating account, correct? It's not truly a credit card.
No, it is truly a credit card. It is
Oh, it
truly
is?
a credit card, Jim, because we do not want a debit card. If we have a debit card set up, it opens our whole account up.
Okay.
I talked with the banker. We would request a credit card, not a debit card, just so that
Right.
we have some security with that.
I see. Would it be a separate account, or how is that set up? Did they
No,
indicate?
what would happen is they would pull it from our account, like the statement balance. Every month, they would pull it from our account. We would set up a date that would happen on. So whatever, if the balance is $200, that would come out of our account during that time period.
So it's really not a separate account. It's all pulling out of the same operating account.
Yes, but it's more secure than a debit card.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, anything else, Brandy?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Any questions for Brandy? Okay, hearing none. Julie?
I have nothing to add other than the poster contest. I set a due date of May 19th. Last year, we relied solely on emails and reaching out to people to remind them. This year, I'm very thankful that Allie has us all set up with social media. I have some things for her to add to the social media page. It's going to be more accessible for the teachers to be able to pull the information and to obtain some of the educational materials that are offered through PACD. So I'm planning to have her put this on sometime next week. There's really not too much of a hurry, but I'd like to get that out here soon. I think we're going to have really positive results this time.
Thanks, Julie. Anything else to add?
That's it.
Nothing? Questions for Julie? I just want to comment that, it sounds like the social media accounts are coming in kind of handy for, I've heard about the tree seedling sale. I haven't been on it for probably a week, but that's my fault. The seedling sale, the poster contest, lots of other things, meetings, upcoming meetings, things like that. So
We have a very large following on all of our accounts and have not had any negative interactions or any issues thus far with the account creation.
good. Sounds great. Jim, I guess you're up.
Okay, just a couple things I wanted to mention here this evening. The first is the Ferguson Township stormwater fee that we've been talking about over the past couple months. My understanding is that did pass and is in place now in Ferguson Township. Our concern that we had discussed previously centered around their credit program that allowed landowners, primarily farmers, to be able to get a reduction in fee based on certain things that they might do. And the Conservation District was mentioned in that, and it's centered around the approval of their ag plans, ag E&S, nutrient management. I was actually able to speak to a gentleman in Ferguson Township Public Works just the other day and kind of explain our concern. His indication to me was that the township has no intention of creating more work and having us do things that we're not already doing. So I feel pretty confident that, with open communication between us and the township, we would be able to deal with any of these concerns as they come up. You know, some farms are already going to have these plans in place and have them approved. Others, you know, because of state requirements should have them already. They may not need them to be formally approved. And I explained that to the township, and I'm not sure they realized all that ahead of time, but they seemed understanding and thought, you know, we could work towards, you know, getting an acceptable solution to both our offices, that would not create additional workload for us. And then the second item I wanted to mention, we were contacted recently by the State Conservation Commission. They had recently had funds available under what they're calling a Conservation Excellence Grant. And they contacted us to see if we would be able to utilize some of these funds for primarily ag BMPs in Center County over the next 2 calendar years. They were asking if we would be able to, you know, spend in the neighborhood of $750,000. And I talked to staff, and that we think that's something we will be able to take advantage of. So I indicated the same to him, and it sounds like that program's moving forward. We don't have all the details yet, but that seems like good news for getting BMPs in place, and I think that'll help with our CAP implementation and lots of things like that. So, and that's it, unless there's any questions on my report.
Great. It sounds like a great opportunity. Questions for Jim? Hearing none, I think we can move on to the cooperating agency reports. Amanda, there's Amanda. Do you want to go first?
Sure. This month, I wanted to go over our annual review, civil rights review and MOU review. And I'm going to make this brief, as you have all probably heard it before. And before I get started, I'm just going to warn you that my daughter's due home any minute now, so my dog might go crazy, so I have to mute for a second to get a handle on my dog. So sorry about that. I'm just going to go ahead and read the MOU and the civil rights agreement checklist was all in the packet Brandy sent out. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly read the MOU and go over the civil rights. And with COVID, I believe the chairman just has to sign that then. And Brandy, I've already talked to Brandy about what needs to be done with that. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Just one second.
Amanda, can I just clarify that everybody on the board has to sign that MOU, correct?
No, not at all. The MOU's already been signed. This is an overarching MOU.
Okay.
That was signed in 30 years ago, I think 1994 or something. It's only the civil rights checklist that needs signed by the chairman, as long as I've reviewed it in the meeting.
Okay, we did get the MOU. I think that everybody signed it last year, unless I'm mistaken, but I can look back on that. And I think everybody did sign the MOU again last year, because there was a little bit of confusion with that. And what had happened is Scott came back and said that, yes, everybody had to sign that.
Okay. I will check on that.
Okay.
Wasn't aware of that.
After the meeting, I just wanted to make sure that we were under the same understanding. So
yeah, yep. And there's my daughter. Just one second. All right, sorry about that. Jeez. Just 1 second, I'm trying to get it up. Okay, so the MOU, this agreement is between the USDA and the Center County Conservation District. The statement of purpose is the parties have the common objective of assisting people in their efforts to utilize and manage natural resources in accordance with their capabilities and needs for protection in the environment. Each party is independent, has its respective responsibilities, yet recognizes the need to coordinate as federal, state, and local partnerships for the successful delivery of conservation programs related to soil, water, air, plant, animal, and human resources. Therefore, the parties will cooperate to implement their respective long-range natural resources conservation programs, considering available resources, statutory authorities, and regulations. The parties will develop appropriate agreements to further define this relationship. Okay, it is understood that broad-based conservation programs delivered through the cooperation of the USDA, the Center County Conservation District, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania are vital to the protection of the natural resources, economic stability, and well-being of our nation. The parties reaffirm the relationship between the USDA, the Center County Conservation District, and the Commonwealth of PA. The Secretary will continue within the terms of various statutes administered by USDA to carry out broad conservation programs of assistance encompassing technical, research, educational, and financial assistance to landowners and users through the Center Conservation District and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The parties also recognize and encourage a continued commitment from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in aiding, administrating, coordinating, financing, and the delivery of conservation programs through the conservation districts. This agreement establishes an enduring basis for cooperation and assistance between the parties to achieve a common natural resource conservation goals and objectives. Authority to carry out specific project activities such as the transfer of funds, acquisition of services and property will be carried out under separate agreements. Parties will encourage other natural resource related agencies to develop similar agreements. And then it goes through all the signatories. The signatories will be in compliance with all the non-discrimination provisions contained in Title VI and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amended, the Civil Rights Restoration Act of 1987, Public Law 100-259, and other non-discrimination statutes, namely Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Title IV of the Education Amendments of 1972, the Age Discrimination Act of 1975, Americans with Disability Act of 1990, and in accordance with regulations of the Secretary of Agriculture, which provide that no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, marital status, or disability, be excluded from participation in, be denied benefits of, or otherwise subjected to discrimination under any program and activity receiving federal financial assistance from the USDA. And that was signed in 1996 by the Secretary of Agriculture, a designee for the governor, and the chairperson of the Center County Conservation District. And I will check to see if we need to have that re-signed. Okay, and the next document I'm required to go over is, and this one's shorter, is the civil rights checklist. And just so you're all aware, in an effort to comply with federal, departmental, and agency governing civil rights laws and regulations, an annual civil rights responsibilities for partners checklist has been developed by NRCS. And this checklist is just an internal guide that we've gone over everything, and the expectations have been in discussion between NRCS and our partners. The board membership responsibilities are as follows: an annual review of the MOU between NRCS and the board, which I just reviewed, Conservation District Board demographic information, NRCS plan of action for representation on boards, councils, and committees. This is done by the state, and the states requires the states to annually review board membership data with state conservation agencies and discuss the opportunities and benefits of having minority and female representatives on the boards, councils who are impacted by the boards, councils decisions regarding conservation program. Prohibition disclosure of certain information by the USDA and its cooperators. Applicants, participants, location, and any and all privacy information is not to be disclosed without a FOIA request. Upon board membership ending, former board members have the responsibility to protect any information. New and existing partners are invited and should attend NRCS sponsored civil rights trainings. Federally assisted and federally conducted program delivery responsibilities. And this is the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Title VI. And that, again, is a federal law that prohibits basis of discrimination on race, color, and national origin in programs and activities that receive federal financial assistance. Unlawful prohibited discrimination is unfair or unequal treatment based on a prohibited basis. NRCS and employees and partners who work with USDA programs are required to guarantee fairness and equal treatment to all customers who receive USDA and NRCS programs, services, regardless of any cited prohibited basis enforced by USDA. And they actually expanded on that in this agreement. It is race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, including gender expression, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, familial parental status, income derived from a public assistance program, political beliefs, reprisal or retaliation for a prior civil rights activity. And program outreach. Board membership includes a willingness to outreach to others, to reach out further than others, to exceed normal communication expectations, or to go beyond existing limits to communicate with the underserved or under-resourced populations, which are women, minorities, persons with disabilities, historically underserved or limited resources. And public notification responsibilities. There's a list of, which I don't think applies to Center County because you guys aren't co-located with us, of notices you would have to have up if you were co-located with NRCS. And then there's a place for the signatures, which I think Brandy is going to send around after the meeting. So in conclusion, does anybody have any questions on this agreement? It hasn't changed from the previous year. Is everybody still awake?
Questions for Amanda?
All right. I thank you for your time, everyone. I know that's not the most interesting thing, but it's only once a year. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Anything else to report, Amanda?
Oh, yes. I did send out a report. Our rankings for programs have been postponed. When I wrote that report, it was April 1st, but they were able to fix the programming earlier. And so we have started ranking for our programs. Also, when I wrote that report, we had a couple of conservation requests come in very recently, but since I've written that report, come springtime, the phones just started ringing for requests for conservation plans in Center County. So we've gotten about 3 or 4 more requests that have gone on our list since then. So right now NRCS is just busy ranking and getting ready for the contracting season and the construction season. I think same as everybody else. We're all ready to go in that regards.
Okay. Just for the purposes of the minute, I think you said April 1st when you wrote your report. You wrote it March 1st, right?
Oh, did I write March 1st in the report?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said April 1st.
Yes, April 1st was the deadline. They had told us the programming.
Oh, okay. My misunderstanding. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for Amanda? Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, Jackie.
Hello, everyone. Nice to join your meeting this evening. There is a copy of the DEP Field Rep Talking Points. I will highlight a few things. The first point is that we do have an upcoming Zoom meeting on March 16th and 17th, and that will be specifically for Conservation District and Pennsylvania Agency Agriculture Technicians. This was formerly known as the All Bay meeting, I know I've seen Dana at this meeting in the past. I'm guessing that Allison will also be participating coming up here next week. They used to focus this again on just Bay watershed counties and conservation districts, but because it is going to be held virtually, they are opening this up to statewide. So some of the topics that will be discussed at that meeting for our agricultural technicians include agency updates, getting the most out of Practice Keeper, a review of the integrated water quality report and mapping tools, local rapid stream delisting strategies, and other relevant sessions. Just know that Board of Directors are also welcome to attend this meeting if they should have any interest or time. So if you have a need to, feel you need some updates on any of those topics, again, Board of Directors are also invited. They are able to attend that meeting as well. Moving on to the second point, we have some ag energy use workshops. DEP and Penn State Extension have partnered together to come up with some Farm Energy Day workshops. These focus on energy efficiency, solar energy, heating options, lighting, and biogas. Workshops are scheduled as virtual 8-part webinar series. They are held on Thursdays at noon, and this will start on March 18th. There is a web link there for anybody who is interested in participating. I know I keep hearing more and more counties talking about solar panels coming into the county, being placed on farms. So this might be an opportunity to raise questions related to that as well. In addition, DEP and Penn State Extension have also partnered to provide Pennsylvania farmers with a utility bill analysis. This will be done through an extension staff person. They will analyze utility bills and help you understand electricity use, bill charges, and potential ways to save energy on the farm. This is a free service. It is available until June 30th, and the contact person is listed there, Ed Johnstonbaugh, along with his email address. We can move to the bottom part of page 1 there. PACD did hold some leadership development webinar series for Board of Directors. They talked about some topics such as ethics and conflicts of interest, also conservation districts and the Pennsylvania Ethics Act. These were very good trainings. I did attend portions of them. If anybody was unable to attend, these were recorded, and you can have access to them via the paleadership.org website, and can access and view those at your convenience if you are interested. Top of page 2, just a friendly reminder about statement of financial interest forms, which Jim had touched upon earlier this evening in the meeting agenda. Moving on to the next part on page 2 there, as conservation districts continue to hold virtual board meetings, it's come to our attention that folks do seem to have some variation in how they run things, and we do want to make sure that certain aspects of board meetings are being completed. So we do have a list of tips and suggestions for holding virtual meetings. The first one listed there is that meetings still do have to comply with all of the Sunshine Act requirements. Please make sure you are meeting those. It's very useful to take a roll call in the beginning of the meeting. That way you can make sure your minutes can accurately record all the directors that are present and that there is a quorum. Again, providing opportunity for public comment, which you guys did already this evening in the very beginning. Participants should announce themselves when speaking, especially when making motions to ensure accurate recording of the meeting minutes. It's a huge help if we can properly identify who is speaking whenever they are moving a motion. Also, virtual meetings can be recorded. If they are recorded, it's useful to announce in the beginning that that meeting is being recorded. And then finally, recordings of virtual meetings are public records under Right to Know. What we tend to see happen is if a meeting is recorded, usually after those meeting minutes are approved at the next board meeting, that recording can be deleted. So they do recommend that that same practice. After those minutes are approved at the next board meeting, they do suggest you delete that recording because, again, they are subject to right to know if anybody should make that request. So just a couple tips and suggestions for holding virtual meetings. The bottom of page 2, there is a producer survey by National Conservation Planning Partnership. They are looking for farmer input on improving conservation plans. They want to improve the format, usefulness, and value of conservation plans. There is a website there for folks to provide their input and feedback. So we encourage folks to make sure that you make your opinion known for conservation plans. Of page 3, specifically for the 102E permitting staff, everybody knows that e-permitting system did go live on January 25th. They do have a Q&A document from the internal trainings that is available on Clean Water Academy. There's also a new fact sheet for e-permit, also on Clean Water Academy. Also have a test site. They're calling it the Sandbox. So folks can practice using the system before they actually get into using any official permit reviews. You can practice submitting permits, reviewing permits, that type of thing, again, before you get into any official actions. We do want to make note also that there will be a new Greenport release occurring sometime in March. And when that happens, district users will need to make new accounts for the e-permitting systems. I don't have a specific date on when that new release is going to happen, but it will be sometime in March. So be prepared to make new accounts within Greenport when that new system comes through. Quick reminder, any CAFOs that are applying winter manure would need to submit an application form. Kind of hoping we're past winter. However, if there is any snow on the ground, or if the ground is frozen to a depth of 4 inches, that is considered winter. So a CAFO would need to submit a manure application form if they were to plan to apply any manure during those 2 specific times. The rest of the talking points are some updates for countywide action plan related types of activities. Tier 1 and Tier 2 counties still receiving some state funds, also receiving some implementation money, which Allison had talked about earlier this evening. So just some updates information related to that at the end here of our talking points. I just want to make quick mention that your countywide action plan coordinator, Erin Ledovic from HRG, I've heard her speak several times, and I'm very, very impressed. She seems to have a lot of energy, seems to be very in tune with the countywide action plan, and also impressed to hear the Center County staff talk about the countywide action plan and its involvement and how they are moving things forward as well. So I want you all to know that, you know, from our end, Center County seems to be right on track with their countywide action plan, and happy to see all of the involvement and the good things that are occurring because of it. That's all that I have for my report. I'd be happy to take any questions or comments that anyone might have.
Questions for Jackie?
I will say, I think this might be the first time that I have a more exciting report than NRCS. Sorry, Amanda.
Jackie, this is Jim. Just out of curiosity, have you heard if any permits have been entered into the e-permitting system statewide yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
I know we haven't received anything yet. I was just curious if the system, how it's functioning, if it's had permits submitted yet.
Right. No, that's a good question. And no, I am not aware of any permits at this point in time yet.
Okay.
Okay, other questions for Jackie?
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jackie. Anything else? That brings us to the end of our meeting. Anything else by anyone for the good of the order? If not, is there?
Rob, I have a little bit of a report. This is Tom.
Yeah, Tom, go ahead.
Rob, this is Tom. I have some. I attended Headwaters RC&D Council meetings in November and also February 3rd. And our meetings for this next year are going to be March the 9th, May 5th, August 4th, and November 3rd, and all is well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Tom. I don't know if Tom cut out or, Tom, are you still there?
Yeah, I gave did you hear my report?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
just
I
the
didn't know if
meeting
you had
dates.
anything. I'm sorry?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you keep cutting in and out. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, that was Mike. And is there a second?
Tom, second.
Second by Tom Bolton. Thanks, everybody. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, thanks, everybody, for attending and your reports. I do want to comment that I thought the staff reports were, seems like there's a lot of work being done in February. Pretty extensive. So keep up the good work, and we will see you again in April when it's warmer.